Hello, Soul Tribe. I'm KamalaDevi, and I wanted to talk about introspection and visioning and like self-reflection. It happens to be a really rich time for that. And specifically, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere. So this is winter, which is, longer nights, more dream time. And we're also closing out the Gregorian calendar year. So it's a good time to look at, how'd I do this year? Am I aligned with my soul? It's the solar cycle. And course correcting for the new year. And I mentioned the solar cycle because you may know that I also do monthly rituals on the lunation of the full moon and the new moon. And that creates a sort of like rhythm, this monthly ceremony, these high magic moments, which are great times to self-reflect and to manifest. But this is, an annual rhythm that I'm speaking to. Winter happens to be it's a time to to go closer to the roots, dropping deeper into the source code and the seed of what we're here for. And that's a very individual inquiry. It's not, what does the world want you to do, or what you've been programmed to do, but like, who am I? What am I here for? How am I doing? How could I be more aligned with my potential? And I wanted to, just explore this process, the actual, like, how we inquire, because I feel like it's more and more relevant with the deep global call to pause, to slow down, as various people in not only our life, like our family, get COVID, and people we know. Like, there's a different pacing to life, and it's a call to like the preciousness that life is. And I don't mean to wax philosophical, but in my house right now, my son, who's 15, Devin has COVID, and Michael's got COVID for the last week. And I'm just tending to them. I'm mothering and, making these great soup healing garlic concoctions. It's very witchy. And it's a little bit like poetic, because when I got COVID, my experience was like this great shock. The three of us were going to go to Portugal and Africa and like family vacation. And in order to get on the plane, you have to get like a PCR, test that you're negative. And the boys tested negative, no problem. And of course, I was positive like the night before leaving. And this was not just family vacation, but also to do a level 2 in Portugal with the International School of Temple Art. So I had to like not facilitate and be home alone as I was healing this virus in my body. There was something about the aloneness and the fever, the spiritual fever that is, this initiation that comes up from the earth. Viruses coming through all of us, connecting everyone on the planet. And I think the whole globe is in a kind of a death initiation. And it's like dying to the unreal and what really matters. So how do we slow down and align with, who we are and what we're here for? And some of the questions that I love to inquire are like, what are my values? What, I know for me, and it's different for everyone. And that's what's so beautiful, is we get to say, hey, this soul is here for these values, not just the values that like our reaction because of our wounding or our reactivity, but like, what am I, when I'm really, really nourished, when I'm resourced, when I have everything that I need taken care of, what then do I want to do with my life force energy? And for me, it's growth, it's evolution, it's transformation, and not just waking myself up, but those around me, and also intimacy and deep connection, and that falling through each other, knowing that we're all one, that oneness. these are some of my highest values, including creativity, creating and playing. And I have to just say this with some, like, there's a heaviness in my heart, because winter is not the time necessarily to create. Winter is a time to like die off to the unreal, to let go of that which doesn't serve, and to see, to vision. And sometimes the seeds of what will be created are planted during the winter. Like there's a seeding, there's a source codes that you feel into. So I'm curious if you resonate and what your introspection process looks like. Because sometimes for me, when I identify, these are my values, this is what I'm here for, then I look and I say, how am I orienting my life around that? Like, how am I expressing that in the world? And that's a time to look in and really, in part celebrate, validate, appreciate the ways in which I'm living my life aligned with my values, and then course correct for the ways that I'm maybe off course, maybe, just almost there. What more could I do? And yeah, for full transparency, one of the things I could do less of, I'm often looking at where I'm off course means I'm leaking my life force energy, or maybe I'm escaping from life in these ways. And, for me, that's often like Netflix and entertainment. But it could be online shopping, or, drinking, or, any type of addictive behavior that is just easy. Like it could even be dating too much. What is it that you do when you don't want to show up for the emptiness, for the void that is not just empty, but full, nourishing, and uncomfortable. Uncomfortable because it's not a distraction. It's like, life force energy, and death too. Yeah. So there have been a lot of loss and illness, and how do we take the loss and the illness and turn it into the gold, of the golden reminder, that life is precious and brief, and how do we make the most of it? So those are my winter reflections, and I'd love to hear you and how you're doing, what you're visioning, how your process is, and anything else you'd like to share. Let's stay in touch. Blessings.